everyone. Hope you're enjoying SmashCon. So I go by Praxis in the Smash community. My real name is Chris Harden, and I wanted to talk to you guys about my app SmashPad. Quick show of hands, how many of you are familiar with SmashPad? Okay, so I see a few of you who don't know about it. My story is pretty similar actually to Tapo. I don't know if you heard his previous presentation, but a long time ago, I had the idea for a Smash app, and I decided to actually go through the motions of learning coding just to be able to make this app. I'd taken some CS classes in college. I work in the medical IT field, so I learned to write code, and I started working on SmashPad, and I ran a Kickstarter, and the Kickstarter was pretty successful. We raised about $6,000, and that doesn't go very far toward making an app, but it is enough to get you started, to buy hosting, to buy learning materials, and graphics designer help. I'll start with showing the original trailer for SmashPad for those of you who are not familiar with it. This is what it looks like. So SmashPad was released earlier this year, in February actually, and so I wanted to talk about it. I did not do a lot of marketing. I mainly posted it on Reddit, and we had quite a good response. A lot of people downloaded it. It is currently only out on iOS, and the question everyone keeps asking me is, where's Android, and when is Android coming? So I wanted to start by talking about SmashPad's history, and then what SmashPad does currently, and then what I'm looking at doing in the future, some ideas I've got, and SmashPad's roadmap going forward. And then I'm going to talk about Android and where we're at on that right now. So, as I mentioned, we released in February, and since then I've had to do a lot of updates and bug fixes. I've got a lot more frame data than I had. I launched with Complete Melee. I've completed Smash 4 since then, and I've got about half the characters' animations done on Smash 4. So I'm continually updating that. I've actually got a new update that's going to be coming out here in the next couple days. It's been submitted to Apple, so I'm just waiting for the review that adds on the news support for pulling in news from ESPN Go, Red Bull, and V-Score Esports, in addition to Melee and Omni and Smash Sports. So since February, I've been doing bug fixes and updates. I fixed about 50 bugs and added a whole bunch of new features. And I've got a list here of a bunch of the things SmashPad does, because I think a lot of people who use it don't use it to its full extent. What SmashPad does is it pulls in from Twitch and Hitbox, and it finds all streams that are going on. Then it prioritizes them by the number of viewers and which ones are known for showing tournaments, and shows those to you when you open the app. So if you want to tune into a tournament really quick, you just open the app up and it's right there. It also connects to VODs.co, and it pulls up tournament VODs. So if you want to see recent results, recent matches from EVO, you can just pull up the app and look for that. You can search by character, by player. It also connects to, it pulls recent short clips of Melee from Jiffy Cats, so you can also pull it up, see today's Jiffy Cats, and watch things, and that's constantly being updated. It pulls news from different websites, aggregates it, Melee.me, Smashboards, soon to be ESPN Go, and Red Bull. It has a big collection of combo videos. It organizes it by character. There's a premium mode in SmashPad, and the premium mode includes a full challenge bracket. So you can go on there and you can run an entire tournament off of the phone. It connects to your challenge account. You can create a tournament, run the tournament, or look up someone else's tournament and see where you are in the bracket. It also contains complete frame data for all the games that are played competitively. It's got documentation on all the ATs for all the characters. It fetches rankings data from Melee.me, Smashboards, and Smash Ladder. It locates Smash groups that are near you. And for premium users, there's a double client character picker. And basically my goal with this was to find every service out there that Smashers use and have the app connect to them and pull data from them. These are all the things SmashPad does currently on the iOS version, and there's a lot of stuff I'd like to do in the future. So I put this slide together just to talk about theoretical things I'd like to do. A lot of them have technical hurdles. On the right there's a rough mock-up. I actually had this working for a while of statistics. There was a web app called GarPR that tracked players' results. So you could upload challenge brackets to them and it would track all their results. And they had history of every player and their history against every other player. So in this, I pulled up SFAT versus Shrooms, and you can see that at the time, SFAT had a 40-17 record over Shrooms, and there's all their recent win-losses. And this stuff was actually all working, and unfortunately, GarPR was canceled, so we never got to go live with that. But it's an example of the kind of stuff we could do. It's one of the reasons I get excited when Tapo talks about these Tapo stats, because we could connect all these things together. When I actually wrote this code, I had it connecting to Voz.co, and I had a cache copy of the Melee.me rankings. So you could pull up any player in the top 100, and you would have their biography from the Melee.me rankings. You would have their tournament history. You could see their win record against any other player in the top 100, and you could hit a little button, and it would search bots.co for any tournament matches with that player, or you could pick any two players and find them there. So I'd like to be able to build something like this in the future. We just need a new data source, and we've got a lot of projects in the process for that. I think that apps are kind of the future of viewing in a way. A lot of us, we watch it on our computers or our laptops, but it's really convenient to be able to pull it up on your phone. If you look at what people do in sports, people play fantasy football, people are looking up results all the time. There's tons of apps that just show you your statistics, show you the players that you follow, how they're doing. So stat tracking is the #1 thing I'd like to do in the future. I also have a lot of ideas as far as like location awareness. You can imagine if the app was aware that you are in this location and knows that SmashCon is happening in this location, it would know you're at SmashCon and could display the tournament bracket to you because it connects to Challenge or Smash GG. One thing that poses a bit of a technical challenge, I would really like in the future to be able to have Twitch streams line up with their brackets. So if I know a tournament's happening on a certain date and I have the challenge bracket, you could watch the stream and have the bracket on the side and switch between them at will. I'd like to have more Smash GG integration, maybe the ability to run tournaments off of that like we can do with Challenge already, and social features, maybe finding people to play with, and eventually skins and odd shot support. And long term, I'd really like to do Apple Watch apps, Apple TV apps, Android widgets. It's pretty easy to expand the app as it is into those things. So the most common question that I get from everybody when I talk about SmashPad is, where's Android? So I wanted to really quickly talk about what is involved and what's taken so long and where we're at right now. The big thing is that coding is really, really hard. SmashPad is about 60,000 lines of code, and I've put about 900 hours into SmashPad, and not just coding, but all the data collection and all the other things that are involved. I work full-time, and I don't make any income off of SmashPad. That's worth mentioning. And actually last year was a particularly rough year for me. We had a windstorm that put a tree through my house and a few other major incidents that took a lot of my time. And when you're working full-time, it's pretty hard to manage all of that and work on the app. But this year's so far gone a lot better. There's also a lot of expenses involved and a lot of other things people don't think about, like graphics design. Every little icon, everything has to be designed by somebody. I use the Kickstarter money primarily for graphics design and server hosting and stuff like that. But there's a lot of little subtle costs. You've got hosting fees, you've got your Apple developer license, you've got learning materials, you've got graphics design. The biggest time waster for me ended up being all the manual data compilation, because we have all this frame data and none of it is really in a good format for the app to import. So I ended up doing most of that myself. I got a few people who helped me out. But if you think about, each character takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours to manually write all their frame data into like a spreadsheet. But once you've got that done, you have to go and find all the animations, the frame data. You've got to convert those to the right format and upload them. It really takes about 4 hours per character. And if you think about 25 characters in Melee, that's 100 hours right there. And then we run through about 50 characters in Smash 4. So this ended up taking actually several hundred hours just to do all this frame data compilation. Melee it on me, I took the top 100 and I had to go through it and take each player, put their name in a spreadsheet, put their bio in a spreadsheet, put their Twitter handle in a spreadsheet, put their VODs.co ID in a spreadsheet. And again, it took me like probably a good 10, 15 hours just to do that. So when you add it all together, there's just a ton of manual data compilation that happens here. And this is one of the strengths with the Android port, is that a lot of this stuff does not have to be redone. I don't have to redo the manual compilation. All the files are there. I don't have to redo the graphics design. There's changes to be made, but I can use a lot of the same icons. My server hosting is the same server. I don't have to redo that. The biggest thing is all the services, because SmashPad has to connect to well over a dozen or more other services and fetch data from them and store that data and update it at the appropriate time, and that adds up to quite a lot of things. Over the course of my development, one of the biggest delays is changes to services. GarpER ended up being canceled, so I had actually just developed so much of the app around GarpER being the hub and it connecting. And then I lined up different people's VODs.co IDs and their Melee Omni bios and all that around their GarpER ranking. And when GarpER went down, I had to revamp a whole lot of the app. Twitch, I used to use their plugin for streaming to iOS, and they eventually stopped supporting that plugin, and I had to redo it all. VODs.co changed. A couple other different services just changed their backends, and I had to readjust the app for that. Pretty soon, my server service provider is actually going to be going out of business, so I have to do a migration as well. So there's been all kinds of fun things there that slowed me down. But now that I've got that done, and I've done it before, and I have a kind of a model to go with, and I know which things work and which things don't, I can use that when I'm doing Android. I did kind of a quick overview of services here. So that's what a JSON service looks like, and go back really quick here. My bad. So I just listed up here all the services that I'm using. Just a quick overview there. I've got Challenge, I've got Twitch, I've got Hitbox, I've got to fetch from both. I've got to figure out which ones are tournaments. I'm pulling data from Smash.gg for calendars. And in the Android version, I'm actually using Stanza and Smash.gg, and I'm comparing both calendars, removing duplicates, and then figuring out which tournaments are on live right now. I'm fetching data from 5 different news sources, rankings from different sources, etc., etc. So, what challenges do we have coming up? A lot of things I want to look at. On iOS, there's a bit of a problem with clutter, because iOS started out pretty simple. We just wanted news, we wanted streams, we wanted frame data, and as time went on, I added Smash database support, I added a whole bunch of other things to the front page, so it's a little cluttered. So at this point, we need a redesign of the front page on iOS. The second thing I don't like is ads, and I'm going to talk about that later. But right now, SmashPad is free. There are ads. I designed the ads so that as you scroll, the ads go away, and they're only visible at the initial launch. But they're ugly, and I think that it takes away something from the app. There's a premium mode for SmashPad, and that adds a couple extra features and removes the ads. but I don't want free users to get a worse app. Content is the biggest thing, because when I designed SmashPad, we had guides, we had advanced techniques, we had combo videos, and all those things have to be manually added on the back end. And I had kind of the idea, hey, I go on Reddit a lot, probably most of you have seen me on there. I can just get up every morning when I go on there, and any new combo videos I see, any new advanced techniques, I can just add that into the app before I go about my day. It doesn't really work out like that, especially when I'm working on the Android port, when I'm trying to redesign a lot of things on the iOS, when I'm fixing bugs. All that stuff takes precedent, and I haven't spent a lot of time doing the content. So the content's been my mission. My plan right now is to get Android out and then focus on content for a while, but I have to juggle between doing content or doing new features. So the big challenge is this, that I'm stretched too thin. I'm one person, I'm working full time, and I'm trying to add things to iOS, develop the Android port, and do content. So I'm going to go on to how I'm going to address that in a second, and I'm going to talk about Android here. So Android is actually pretty far along. In programming, we talk about what's called the model and the controllers and the views. You design everything separately so that the app's model, which is basically where the application stores all its data, fetches data at the appropriate time, synchronizes everything, is completely separate from the UI. And I decided to write the entire model for Android first, and I am 99% done. I'm pretty much done with the model. So the model being done is the most complex part about it. My Android app right now has almost no interface, but it does everything. It connects to different calendars, it pulls your Twitch streams, it can stream the streams, it's got all the frame data imported, it can look up different VODs based on character or player. It's all in there and it's ready to go. So over the next 2 months, I'm going to be doing a lot of UI work, and I'm going to be posting screenshots on my Twitter as I go. So Android is going to be a lot faster at this point because I don't have to redo so much stuff. Android also tends to fit our demographic better. Most Smashers are Android users. It's a lot more prevalent. So getting it out there for Android users is going to get a lot more people using the app. My plan is to actually start marketing once I get the Android release out. So I'm going to put Android out and then start taking any income I make from both apps, iOS and Android, and I'm going to start sponsoring players, sponsoring tournaments, putting money back into the scene however I can in a way that gets me more visibility. I know a lot of people out here still haven't heard about the app yet, and so once I have it out on both platforms, it's time to start spreading the word. So how do I address the fact that I'm stretched thin? In an ideal world, I would like to start working on this full time. My original intent was to make my premium features free over time. So I create a premium feature and I make an old one free. I add a new premium feature, make the old one free. And so essentially premium users are just getting features in advance. People who want to support me can subscribe to premium. People who don't want to spend the money will eventually get those premium features trickling down to them, essentially. But ads are ugly and they don't really make that much money. So I've been trying to figure out different ways to address that. And the one that comes to mind the most is sponsorships. So I'm going to be looking at sponsors, trying to reach out to people. If I can come up with some kind of partnership or sponsorship, I will use that opportunity to remove the ads. If I can't find a sponsor, I'll still look at different options. If we get we'll be looking at different options, trying to find out how we can grow SmashPad and bring in an income in, but remove these intrusive ads. So my goal right now is to try to get SmashPad to be my full-time project, because I'm doing this on 10 hours a week, and if we were doing 40, we could do all the things we're talking about. And I think that SmashPad, if SmashPad had all the things that I envision it to be, and all the things that I've designed, we could, it would be what everyone uses. You come into a tournament, you pull out your phone, you see your bracket there, you check in, you can look up ATs, any information you want, you can look up information about the player you're going to be playing next. Just having that app there with all that information is really powerful. So my last slide here is how can you help? If you have iOS, download the app. If you can, subscribe to Premium. If you can't, then just leave a good review. Reviews go a long way toward visibility, and I really would like more people to find the app. I'm doing my best to make sure that it's very friendly for people who are new to the scene, explains to them what Smash tournaments are and how to get into it. So just leaving a good review makes a huge difference. If you are a developer, if you can make me an API, I will pull data from your site and display your data in my app. I try my best to connect with every other every community project that I can, like vods.co, and display their data and send people their way so they can get views. So if you're a developer, or if you know developers, have them give me an API. If you have any contact information for potential sponsors, send it to me. That's my social media information. I'm SmashPad app on Twitter, and I'm Praxis on Reddit, and my email address is that, cmharden@gmail.com. Otherwise, if anyone wants to play Melee with me, I'm super out of practice because I've been doing a lot of this, so I look forward to see you guys out on the floor. So I'd like to take some questions, do questions and answers here if you guys are up for it. So if you have any questions, just go ahead and raise your hand.
Any questions? Oh, come on. That was a lot of information. Here we go.
Hey, quick question. So if you had to design your dream, streaming experience on SmashPad, what would that look like?
So my dream, okay, I've run through this a few times actually. So right now when you bring up SmashPad and you tap on a stream, it just brings up a web view with the stream in it. And I've been actually working on getting it to stream directly, but just take that a little extra step there. But I would like to have just little tabs at the top that can bring up, one tab brings up the chat, one tab brings up the bracket. And what SmashPad would do is check all the calendars and have a list of what events and what Twitch channel and what bracket it is. And so when you tap on the screen that's a live tournament, you've got the bracket, you've got the chat, and you've got the video, and you can switch in and out of them at will and see where people are. I'd also like to be able to go through the bracket and tap any player name in that bracket and see their win record against their opponents, and see, be able to jump into VODs of them if you want. So basically, bring tap of stats, but have it be at the user's control. So you can pop up and see, hey, what's this guy's normal character? What's his win record? Who does he normally play? And all this stuff is actually very doable. Really, the only thing I need at this point is a centralized source that says what tournament, at what time, uses what stream, and what bracket. Because the hardest thing I'm having right now is relating a stream to a bracket. Because if you pull it up on Twitch, you don't know which bracket that stream goes to. So if I can just figure out a way to relate brackets to streams, I can get this all running.
I think we have time for one last question. I thought there was another hand right over here.
When do you expect to release the Android version?
Say that again?
When do you expect to release the Android version?
So because of the fact that I don't work full-time on it, it's really hard for me to put dates on it because it essentially comes down to my schedule. If the tree falls through my house again, it puts me off. But, I mean, if I had to give a rough estimate, I think I'll be done in about 3 months. I've got all of the data portion of the app done, and I'm learning the Android UI mechanics and trying to get it to look right now. So if all goes well, I'd say 2 or 3 months. I'm going to try to get a beta tester into the hands of everyone who backed on Kickstarter as soon as possible as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Let's have a big round of applause for Praxis and SmashPad. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Up next, in just